Hey, good lunchtime, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. This is Saturday. It's actually a beautiful day today. Really enjoyable, nice and warm outside. Guys, this is a great topic. This seems to be an issue with a lot of people who are following our high fat, low carb meals and combining it with either intermittent fasting or an extended fast. And especially for those of you that are just starting out, that maybe haven't really done any intermittent fasting or extended fastings, and you've been watching my videos and for the last couple of years, and you know that there's steps you have to follow in order to graduate into the more extended fasting, so that you don't have cravings and you can balance the hormones. You can go back to my YouTube channel, type in Bill Mabry, subscribe to it, see the videos about that. You can go to my group page, Fat Loss Made Easy, and join that in the videos there. Now, just like I've said in all my other videos, I have an outline here. I'm just going to briefly go through it, kind of walk you through the outline. The outline will actually be in the description section of the video. So I encourage you to go back or go to my YouTube channel and watch the YouTube and click on the description to kind of give you more specific of what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is an issue that I'm seeing a lot of the beginners doing, including me. I did it when I first started out. It seems like that even people that have been on the program, who have 2, 3, or 4 months extended fasting under their belts, still deal with the issues of overeating after doing an extended fast. And so that there's a lot of issues that can cause the reason why you're binge eating, or why once it's time to break your fast, why you have that craving of wanting to overeat. Obviously, the first one is going to be because you're just starting out and you don't quite understand that you are not fat adapted yet. Your body has not been taught how to actually use the stored body fat that you have as energy as soon as you've depleted all the carbs out. And what I mean by an extended fasting, you guys, I'm talking about 20 hours with a 4-hour window of eating. I'm talking about a 24-hour fast, 36-hour fast, and a 48-hour fast. Even an 18-hour fast with a 6-hour window of eating can also be known as an extended fast. But the 20 hours on are most likely what I'm talking about. But what the factors are, like I said, is that you're not educated in understanding the steps you have to follow first in order to get your body to be able to switch over to burning fat when you do run out of carbs. And that's what happens when you're doing an extended fast, an 18-hour fast or a 20-hour fast. Whatever carbs you ate the night before, you've pretty much depleted them out of your liver. You no longer have them. And so your body is not using those for energy because you don't have any, right? So what does it do? It has to find some energy from somewhere. So it has to know how to dip into your own stored body fat. And isn't that kind of the idea of losing fat weight? Or I like to call it fat weight instead of weight loss, because I want to lose fat weight is what I want to lose. But doesn't it make more sense to want to dip into your own stored body fat? And if you understand the science and the physiology of how the body works when it comes to losing fat weight, carbs play a big role in sabotaging your fat burning. That's just how it is. So you need to understand that. The other thing is that I see people make mistakes is when they're first starting out, is they're not eating enough good dietary fat the night before they go on their fasting, their 18, 20, or whatever fasting. And so you've got to remember that you need to eat enough dietary fat at night in order to keep you satisfied through the fasting period. That helps a lot. Of course, the another big one is during your extended fastings. A lot of people aren't drinking enough water, and especially not taking electrolytes. And what I mean by electrolytes, for those of you that follow me, you know we do the pink sea salt 2 or 3, sometimes 4 times a day when we're doing a 23-hour fast. Today's Saturday, so today's my 20-hour fast, and I'm having coffee, but it's not fat coffee because I do a true fast. I'm not gonna, if I'm gonna fast, I'm gonna do it right. So I'm not gonna sabotage it by eating any calories and breaking the fast. So I just having black coffee. So what happens is a lot of people, when you do an extended fast, and people will text me and say, hey, I'm hungry, I'm craving. I said, get a big 20-ounce glass of water, have some pink sea salt, and then put a quarter or 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. What happens is there's a hormone known as ghrelin that's causing the craving. It's a hormone telling your brain you're hungry. And how do we knock it out? We drink enough water throughout the fasting, and we take enough electrolytes. That's the third one. The fourth one is basically imbalanced hormone or imbalanced minerals. That is a big player in why people aren't able to finish an extended fast, and they have those hunger pains or hunger waves, like we call them. But just let me give you a quick rundown on how does fat leave the body. Now, you guys have to understand that when you're losing fat weight, okay, the whole idea is to burn your own stored fat, okay? So you've changed your lifestyle, you decided to do an extended fast, or you're doing an intermittent fasting, 16-8 or 18-6, or a 20 and a 4, and pretty much what you're doing there is the night before you're going to finish eating at 6 o'clock. And you're not going to have any calories except for water and electrolytes and black coffee from now on until you break your fast the next morning, let's say 12 o'clock the next day. Well, during that period of not eating calories, you're going to run out of carbs. If you did a proper high-fat, low-carb meal the night before, then basically you're already stepping into fat burning because you've kept your carbs below 20 grams that whole day. Or that meal has only like 6 or 7 or 8 grams of carbs. So while you're sleeping between the sheets, you're pretty much already in fat burning. So then as you wake up, so most of your fat burning is a lot of your fasting is going to be while you're sleeping between the sheets. Well, you're basically burning fat. But then when you wake up around 6, 7, or 8, you're going to be in a really deep, you've run out of carbohydrates in the liver to use as energy, and the body is going to dip into its own stored body fat. Now, if you've been overweight for a long, long time, say 15, 20, 30, 40 pounds, you got a whole bunch of those fat cells in your body. Well, what happens to those fat cells when you start dipping into your own body fat to be burned as energy? What happens, and this is where people don't understand until you explain it to them, and then it makes all the sense in the world. And I'll explain why. When you dip into your own stored body fat, you're drawing the fats out of those cells, which are being dumped into the blood, and the blood dumps it into the liver, and the liver takes those fats and break them down into ketones and then dump them back into the blood again to be distributed amongst the body, especially the brain. Brain loves ketones. But what people don't understand is, what about that fat cell where that fat was sitting in? Where does it go? Does the body absorb it and do you urinate it out? The bad news is it's not what happens, guys. What happens is that fat cell is deflated. In other words, you do not lose it at all. It is deflated. And so as you start losing more and more fat cells because you're following our high-fat, low-carb meals, and you're combining it with the alternate day fasting or intermittent fasting, if that's what you call it, if you're doing a 16-8, then you're going to be burning more of those fat out of that fat cells, and more of those fat cells are going to be deflating. Now, let's say you got yourself down to your goal weight, and then you decide that, I'm going to go ahead and eat a few more comfort foods, and you reward yourself, and which is okay because you are probably deeper, depending on how long you've been doing the program, you might already be in fat adaptation, and whatever comfort food or high carb starchy meal or sweets you ate for that one meal, most likely you burned it off in 4 or 5 hours. We most likely will burn them off within 3 to 4 hours. So hopefully that's where you guys are at. But what happens if you say, well, you know what, I'm down to my goal weight, I can go another day. And you do another carbohydrate, high carb meal. And then you start doing 2 a day and 3 a day. And all of a sudden, the biggest complaint I'm hearing out there is people says, yeah, I lost 30, 40, 50 pounds, but in 6, 7, 8 months, I gained it all back and more. Well, you got to remember, guys, those fat cells don't go away. They're only deflated. So if you're overeating carbs at your meals and you're eating extremely a lot of them, then what's going to happen to the excess glucose or sugar that your body is not going to be using for energy? It puts it right back into that deflated fat cell. And when that deflated fat cell gets full, it goes to the next deflated fat cell. Well, what happens when you run out of deflated fat cells? Guess what your body does? It's got to protect itself. So it develops more bags to put the fat into. And that's how you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, how does that relate to binge eating when you're doing intermittent fasting? Well, it has a lot to do with it because you guys know that it takes time to get in fat adaptation. You don't get in it overnight. And if you're going to be really rooted in fat adaptation, you got to set a goal on doing this high fat, low carb meals and combining it with alternate day fasting or intermittent fasting for 6 to 12 months to get your body really rooted into it to where it wants to stay in burning fat as its primary fuel. It takes time because you've been carboholics for decades. Your body's been relying on glucose, which is sugar, for its primary energy and never really dipped into your own stored fat. That's why you keep getting fatter and fatter year after year after year. And so now you've switched over to the carbs as your primary energy source to fat, and you've been doing it for a while consistently, and your body wants to stay there. That's the whole objective of this meal plan, which is about 2,000 years old. So it's not a fad diet. It's been around for a long time. And so what happens now is that in my online personal coaching program, I have a step 1 meal plan, I have a step 2 meal plan, and I have a step 3 meal plan for those that are going through my coaching. And I've got courses that include those 3-step meals. What happens is now you've done the first step, which is high fat. That's all you've been eating. Now you're going into step 2 of the meal plan, and you're getting more into the intermittent fasting, but you're doing the 16-8 and the 18 and the 20. And you're seeing some great results. And you've been doing that, trying to get your body adjusted to the non-eating any calories for a certain amount of time, right? Well, now it's time to go to step 3, and that is where the magic happens. Step 3 meal plan, which is basically extended fasting, is where the real magic happens. Not only in the benefits of overall health and to help reverse many disease models, which also is including type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, or obesity, But what happens here is you're going to go to a more extended fastings to put yourself into a fat burning environment for a longer period of time. So remember, you started out at a 16:8, so you're fasting for 16 hours and you're burning fat cells. Well, then you're ready to extend it for 2 more hours. So you're going to do an 18. Can you imagine that? Doing 2 extra hours of fat burning and deflating those fat cells? Well, then you're ready to go to a 20-hour fast. That's 4 more hours from the 16. How much more fat are you going to burn? And then in step 3, you guys are ready to go for a 23-hour fast once or twice a week. I really enjoy it. I mean, I pretty much do it 3 times a week. And other health professionals are freaking out because they're saying, how in the world, you train hard, Bill. You're up in age and you're trying to keep lean muscle on. There's no way because you're not eating enough calories. Well, guys, I've calculated it out. I am. I'm averaging about 18 to 2,000 calories a day, and my protein intake per day is about 144 grams. So yes, I am. I'm just having a period of times where I'm not eating, and I feel really great at doing that. But what happens is you guys are now doing your intermittent and alternate day fasting, and you're doing a 20-hour fast. And even though there's some research out there where there were some case studies done showing that a person that's doing an alternate day fast has seen the results of fat weight loss when just doing the standard American diet on their non-fasting day. See, the alternate day fasting, you got a non-fasting day and you got a fasting day. That's what we do. We follow. That's what I teach my clients. On the non-fasting days, the research was showing that people, they didn't worry about what they eat. They ate whatever they wanted. If they wanted a burger, they had a burger. If they wanted Mexican food, they had Mexican food. And they saw some results. Yeah, they did. Personally, though, with the amount of toxicity and chemicals that are in foods and processed foods now, I'm seeing issues when they're doing their glucose readings and their ketone readings, when they do the whatever you want to eat on non-fasting days. It actually is sabotaging their fasting day. I see it all the time now, and blood tests don't lie. That's why we have to do a blood glucose reading and a ketone reading at the same time to figure out the ratio of the GKI. That tells us what happens. So what happens is when you binge eat and you eat whatever and you just eat a whole lot of it, at first you're not going to feel good because you're so full. But it doesn't matter if you're doing a high-fat meal, but if you binge eat too much on a high-fat meal, all foods are converted into glucose or sugar. Doesn't matter if it's fat, protein, or what. They all convert into glucose and into sugar. So if you're overeating, so you did a great 20-hour fast. You felt great. You are so proud of yourself for doing it. You had no issues, no hunger waves. You followed the program. You drank plenty of water while you were fasting, and you took your electrolytes and your vinegar and apple cider vinegar. You did a great job, and you're all proud of yourself. And you knew that the next day, that's where some of the case studies was. Why people why the alternate day fasting is so flexible, because they knew the next day they get to eat as many meals as they want, which is basically true. You can spread them out. But what they did was, when they did their 20-hour fast, they binged eat at their first meal, which they overate. Okay, so what happens is you are very, what they call insulin sensitivity. You haven't had any carbohydrates, your insulin's been very low for so many hours, and now your cells are very insulin sensitive. So all of a sudden you binge eat, you eat all this food, and you spike your insulin level sky high. Your body's freaking out, and the glucose is now being converted into sugar, but you got massive sugars being dumped into your bloodstream by the liver because of the carbohydrate, because of all the glucose that's being converted. Your body can't use up all that sugar at once. It's overran by sugar. So think about this. Let's see if it makes sense. So where does that excess sugar go? What does the body do? You guys that follow me know. I've said it so many times. What is excess sugar converted to if the cells are too full? It's stored away as fat in the fat cells to be used for energy later. That's how the body works. Well, guess what? You just sabotaged that fasting day that you did. Yeah, especially those of you that aren't really fat adapted yet. So what we recommend people to do in order to not binge eat, and you've seen my videos, like I said, you go to my YouTube channel, look at how to break a fast. It is important that you break your fast right. I'm going to give you 2 ways to do it. Number one way, one of the best ways to break your fast an hour before you have your meal. So if you're going to do a 20-hour fast, you want to break your fast at about 19 and a half hours. And the best way to do it is have 10 to 12 ounces of organic bone broth. It's lean protein. It's got 18 grams of protein to it. It's got some fat in it, but it's very, very easy on the gut. And it's going to prime your gut to have your first main meal. I mean, you've been doing a 20-hour fast and you dump a lot of processed food at that one meal and you dumped a lot of it, overeat. How do you think your gut's going to feel? Not very happy. So bone broth is one of the best ways. Also, bone broth has got collagen in it, which is for us seniors, is great because it helps to slow down premature aging, but it also is good for hair and skin and nails and all that good stuff. But it's very, very easy on your gut. And so Emily mainly breaks her fast with bone broth. Myself, because I still want to put on some lean muscle and I want to keep my protein up every day. I do my, what I call my fat veggie protein smoothie. And I'm using kefir, homemade kefir, as the prime ingredients. I don't do almond milk. I use kefir because it's alive. The probiotics are alive. The digestive enzymes, which I need to help break down the protein I'm eating or drinking in that protein drink. And I'm only doing veggie protein. That's it. I'm not doing any whey protein. Whey protein is not good for you at all. But my fat smoothie is very. It's only 8 ounces of homemade kefir, and I put 1 scoop of veggie protein powder that I have, and I put 1 scoop of Dr. Axe collagen in it, and I'm getting almost 40 grams of protein just in that drink before I have my first meal. That's how I break my fast, to up my protein a little more throughout when I'm fasting on that day. But it's very easy on my gut, and it digests very quickly, and it primes my gut for my main course. Then of course my main course is going to be a high fat, moderate protein, and very, very low carb. I like to keep it very low carb on my fasting days on my main meal. And so I'm having another almost 8 to 1,000 calories in my main meal. So those 2 little things I had, that's almost 1,600 calories in just on my 23-hour fasting day. You see how I can, and why is that? Because there's a lot more calories in 1 gram of fat than there is in carbs or protein. That's how I'm getting my calories up. And that's how I'm able to show these people that I'm bringing in 18 to 2,000 calories a day average through a 7-day period. So that's the key. What happens is when you break your fast with something like bone broth or with your very, a small protein drink, what are you doing? Well, you're eating calories, and so an hour later when it's time to eat your main meal, you're not going to be as hungry. So you're not going to binge eat. That's how you keep yourself from binge eating. But focus on a moderate meal with good high fats. See, the good high fats is going to keep you satisfied. You're not going to want to eat as much because you're already full. You already had a meal. That's basically a meal before you even had a meal. Okay? So that's how you keep from binge eating. It's that simple. And it's healthy. Now, I don't recommend anybody eating processed foods when they're coming off an extended fast. I believe you should make your own meal, and I'm a firm believer of pasture-raised, grass-fed meats, chickens, wild-caught fish for protein, and all your vegetables got to come from organic veggies. But on your main meal after extended fast, don't have any starchy carbs. Do not do that, because your cells are very sensitive to carbs. And you don't want those carbs, those excess carbs, to be stored away as sugar and ruin your whole thing. There's some of you that are doing this and you're not seeing the results because of what you're sabotaging your plan. And what happens is some of you, not all of you, but some of you, if you're overeating or binge eating and you have accumulated so much sugar, you know how long it takes it takes a while for that insulin to drop back down to normal. See, when you've eaten like that, you've just blown yourself out of fat burning. You're no longer fat burning. Well, how long is that insulin staying spiked? A blood test will tell you. I've had some people go 24 to 48 hours before their blood sugars drop back down to fat burning again. Not everybody. It just depends on your metabolism and if you're exercising and what kind of exercising. But most of you, you're not fat adapted yet. You're not ketone adapted, especially. Okay? So, like I said, be concerned about how you break your fast when you're doing an extended fast, or even when you do like I said, an 18-hour fast or a 20-hour fast, especially when you're doing 20s, 24s, 36s, and 42s. You have to break your fast properly with something very lean. Now, it could even be a small piece of lean chicken. That works if you do that. Sometimes I'll break my fast with 2 sticks of pasture-raised chicken sticks from Barron's. I'll have a couple of those before I eat, just to get my gut in prime, okay? So guys, this video is going to go on my training module site. For my clients, when they sign up, this is one of the bonus packages they get. I have all kinds of different training modules that answers a lot of questions. The most common questions that people ask about when they're doing their high-fat, low-carb meals or when they're doing intermittent or prolonged fasting. It answers a lot of their questions so they don't have to keep texting me. They could just refer back to my videos and, oh, okay, I remember that now. So this is probably going to go in there also. So guys, I hope you saw some value in that, and probably won't see you guys until sometime next week on my next one. I do have it all ready to go, but I don't remember what the topic is yet, but that's okay. I'll remember when I pull it out. So you guys have a great Saturday and enjoy the weather, enjoy the family, get outside and do something with the family in the nice weather and look at the beautiful scenery that God has given us and enjoy it. You guys have a great day.